Good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. Let's talk about kings, warlords, tribes, and you. When I was growing up, we thought of kings with their nice gold crown and their ermine-lined, red cape sitting on a big gold throne with polished marble floors and all the finery and hundreds of attendants and stuff like that. And while I'm sure kings like that have existed in the past, the vast majority of kings, when you read about them historically, King Arthur time frame, when you read about them in the Bible and things like that, uh, kings were really more like warlords, like mayors. My wife touched on this in a video recently. Have you seen the series Game of Thrones or The Last Kingdom? I think they actually get to it a little better, showing how kings really were. Humans are tribal by nature. The last, 20th century has kind of dampened that a little. Certainly not in all parts of the world, but in Western civilization, we think we're not tribal, but we are. We're very tribal. And kings are basically heads of tribes. Now you could call it a chieftain. Yeah, okay. I don't want to get too wrapped up in the terminology. I want to focus on the concept. I believe my wife and I were talking, we were doing a chit-chat while we were driving the other day, and I think a lot of kings in the past were probably like super mayors, right? They were the leader of a city, a big town, and probably also controlled, to one degree or another, the land outside of that city or town. And then that made them the king. And some ruled with absolute despotic power and, bad attitude, and some were fairly benevolent. Hierarchical rule is biblical, certainly. I'm not turning this into a Bible lesson, but for those of you informed by the Bible, hierarchical rule is biblical. Absolute rule at the top, the very top, is biblical, right? And then that all flows down. I talked earlier, and another person who has the tribal thing figured out well is John Mosby. Forging the Hero, I think, is one of his books where he hits it pretty hard. All leaders, even Hitler, served at the will of the people. If 3 million people say, no, we're not playing, you're not the leader anymore. Right? So a leader always has to keep their base content enough that they don't want to try and overthrow the leader. I said in an earlier video, I think there's a lot of people out there disgusted with politicians, disgusted with the way things are, and they just want to get back to what they view as the good life, where a man's word is his bond, and dun 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 dun. And some people, with delusions of grandeur, picture themselves as, well, when this all happens, the strong men are going to rise, and I'm going to be in charge. And then you can go all the way off the deep end. Like those people who wrote the books, the Out of the Ashes series, the Survivalist and stuff like that. You know who's going to be in charge when it all comes crumbling down without rule of law? By and large, people who are in charge now. I know, right? It's like disgusting. Are you kidding me? Yeah, pretty much. Because you see, I think that most people are not drawn to power. Most people don't want to be in charge of anything. They don't want the responsibility. They don't want the headaches. And there is a lot of responsibility and a lot of headaches and a lot of things that requires one's focus and attention when one is a leader. And it's easier in many ways not to be a leader. A lot of people think, oh, I can't wait till I'm in charge, or if I was in charge, I would do things differently. You probably wouldn't. And you probably wouldn't be nearly as effective, because if you would be, you'd be in charge now. Ooh. The politicians, so most people are like that. A few people, percentage-wise, are drawn to power and drawn to being in charge. And they're good at organizing people to that end. They're good at creating and managing factions and things like that. And those are the people that are doing it now. They'll continue doing it. Your county sheriff? Do you know who he or she, usually a he, is? I'm not going all, militia, whatever. He's the most powerful person in the county, but in many ways he is. And I'm not just talking on paper. He has gotten the county citizenry, the sheriff has, to say, yeah, we want this guy to be in charge of our law enforcement in this county. He has political skills to enable that to happen. Not only does he have political skills and the personal leadership attributes that make people want him to be in charge, he has friends in high places who support his campaign, who give him money to post all the signs and do all the things. Oh yeah, he does have friends. The wise student, the one doing the area assessment, would probably try to determine not only who the real leaders are, the appointed, the formal and informal leaders, but who backs those leaders? Who are the local Soroses, right? Now, I'm not saying that all the backers are bad, but there are definitely backers of people in position, and those backers expect certain things for their backing. When the balloon goes up, when there is a world without rule of law, these people are going to become more prominent, these kings, leaders, mayors. I said earlier that I think a lot of the early kings were probably super mayors, meaning, more power, of cities, and they controlled the land around them. Why did they control the land around them to the extent that they could? That was a weird sound. Oh, that's a deer. Can you guys hear that? Listen. It's going. Can you hear it? Huh. I could hear it. You probably can't. Oh, I'm holding this up like the microphone is over here. It's on my shirt, turned away from it. Oh well, it's a deer blowing. Why do they seek control of the land outside of their little city? Resources, competition for resources is a real thing. It's always been a real thing. Competition for scant resources leads to shed blood. There always has been. It's the way of human life. No, we can't all get along, and no, we're not going to share. It's the way things are. So one, they want to get out there to the wheat fields, the barley fields, the hay fields, the cattle grazing area, whatever. They want to control that. And two, from a defensive standpoint, you need to control certain key terrain, avenues of approach to your area and things like that. And so that's why they would try to expand their influence. Well, when they expand so far, they start bumping into other people, and that's the lines of friction that we talk about. And that's where battles usually occur, when they go bumping into other people. So you're like, okay, well, big deal, man. I'm eating my donut, drinking my coffee, sitting at my computer. I got a meeting coming up at 11 o'clock that I got to be at. What's the point, PJ? What's the point? My point is, where do you figure into this scheme when it all goes down, but it all is still there? Yes, there's still going to be systems. There will never be pure anarchy. Even in Chaz, there were people in charge. There were people making and enforcing rules. What's your role going to be in that? might want to start thinking about that. Might want to start thinking about, because it's easy to say, I'm not going to let anybody tell me what to do. You're full of crap if you say that, because you're letting people tell you what to do right now. Right now, we all are subject to many rules and regulations and mores and ways of thinking about and doing things. I mean, we are. Very few people are out there totally doing their own thing, and the ones that are considered crazy by everybody else. I mean, literally insane, right? Just marching to their own drummer. So what are you going to do when it all falls apart and the strong men start to rise? Now, they're not, like I said, they're not really going to rise. You're just going to notice them more. Because right now, everything's kind of covered by this veneer of civilization. Then things will get harsher. There won't initially be long, drawn-out court processes for things, right? Decisions will be taken and consequences meted out rather quickly. The exigencies of the circumstances demand it. It's going to happen. Remember that very famous picture? It was shot by an Australian, I believe, photojournalist in Vietnam, where the one guy's holding a Smith & Wesson airweight bodyguard, little silver 38 special, up to another guy's head and pulling the trigger. The guy's like cringing, like, it's like, do you know the story behind that picture? That was justice meted out in the middle of the street. A lot of people thought it was horrible. What they had found out was the guy who was doing the shooting was the chief of police, I think of Saigon, if I have that part right. But he was the chief of police, and that guy he's shooting was part of a small group that had just gone in and raped, murdered, and tortured to death a family. May have been his, or it may have been his friend's family. Again, the details elude me, but that's basically what it is. This guy was a scumbag who just did awful things to some peoples that the guy pulling the trigger cared deeply about. And they were taking him, if you watch, it's actually a film clip. It's not a picture. It's a film clip. And they were actually carrying this guy to jail. They'd caught him, and he's all tied up and stuff. And the chief of police comes waving through everybody with this little pistol and just goes, it's like, no, we will not have a trial here. That stuff's going to happen. The warlord is going to have rules that you don't like. The king is going to have rules that you don't like. You have three options. You always have three options in these cases. Comply, go along with it, resist, fight, or run away. To the extent that you can. Start trying to wrap your head around that. Start trying to wrap your head around the concept of forming your own crews, teams, factions, so that your tribe becomes big enough that other people don't want to take you on and run roughshod over you. Your tribe could be 5 people. I don't think that's really a tribe, but it's a start, right? 5 people walking down the street's a formidable force in a lot of places. Not when there's an Antifa riot coming the other way. But generally speaking, you go walking down the street with 5 guys, not a whole lot of people are going to mess with you, right? Take that concept and apply it. Go walking down the street with 100 guys. Oh, NFAC. Nobody's really messing with them right now. Oh, there are ways to mess with them, trust me. But most people, the more people you can band together with, the more effective people you can band together with in whatever form. Whether that's a Viking group that has been meeting now for a year with several little cruise teams and unaffiliated on it that decide, hey, we're going to try and, exert our will over this 3-hour circle of distance. Good luck with that. You're not enough to control that much territory. Or whether you're a little mag or crew that then makes nice with all your neighbors until you bump into this mag or crew over here and you start talking and touching antennas. And the next thing you know, you're starting a little organization that when this big warlord from over there starts coming in, it's like dunk, bounces into it, dunk. And it's like, yeah, let's not take them on right now. Let's go over here and get these unaffiliated people. It's things to think about. Join or die. It's another concept, right? Join our group or we string you up. Historically, it's gone on forever. The army is conquered. One army wins, the other army loses. Sometimes they offer everybody, you have a chance right now to join our army, or we kill you. Sometimes they don't tell you the or until after you've made your choice. Would you like to join our army? No. Okay, then they kill you. But now the army just got bigger, and they keep rolling. I heard Bear say the other day, he's not going to fight for an ideological cause. It's his family, you know, his mag, whatever. What's in the best interest of you and your family and your crew and your mag? I should have my t-shirt on, but it's too chilly to just wear a t-shirt. Contemplate the unthinkable. It's good to think about these things for yourself ahead of time and figure out how it's going to go with and for you. And then take steps to mitigate the bad things and enhance the good things. All right. I may see you out there.